trust. Now, the government has insisted it is going ahead with its Chagos Islands deal, in spite of a minister telling MPs that the UK was pausing the process of passing the legislation to transfer control of the territory to Mauritius. There was some confusion after Hamish Faulkner told the Commons the process was on hold to allow time for talks with the United States, after concerns were voiced by President Trump. Tony Grew reports.
Last year, the UK agreed to transfer sovereignty of the Chagos Islands in the Indian Ocean to Mauritius to secure the legal future of the joint UK-US military base on one of the islands, Diego Garcia. Under the treaty, the UK would pay Mauritius £100 million a year to lease back the base, and the US administration had previously expressed support for the deal. But a social media post from US President Donald Trump saying, "Do not give away Diego Garcia," has thrown that support into doubt. The former Conservative Deputy Prime Minister, Sir Oliver Dowden, wondered if it was wise to press ahead with the legislation to ratify the deal.
The previous US administration was not comfortable with the disputed status of this territory under international law. But it's now clear that the current President of the United States has no such concerns, has no such qualms. So given those circumstances, why are we continuing to burn capital with the current administration rather than saying, let's put this whole thing on hold?
The Foreign Office Minister, Hamish Faulkner, said that while the treaty would not change, there would be further discussions with the Americans.
There clearly has been a statement from the President of the United States more recently, which is very significant. And as I told the House, we are now discussing those concerns with the United States directly. We have a process going through Parliament in relation to the treaty. We will bring that back to Parliament at the appropriate time. We are pausing for discussions with our American counterparts.
But government sources later insisted there was no pause, adding that the next steps in Parliament would be announced in the usual way. The issue had been raised in the Commons by the Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, who's been vocal in criticising the deal. Last week, he attempted to visit the Chagos Islands, but he accused the government of blocking his trip. A permit is required to visit the islands. He denounced the government's handling of President Trump's concerns.
The British government went around America and said a whole load of things, such as it was legally necessary to give away the Chagos Islands, which of course wasn't true. Do not give away Diego Garcia. Capital letters from the American president. He likes capital letters in his posts. And all the other arguments have been well rehearsed. The fact that it could cost us up to $50 billion. The fact that the Chagosians weren't just badly treated then, they're being badly treated now.
But the minister said the UK had not, as Nigel Farage put it, gone around the US government.
We are discussing this with our American colleagues. The fact that the honourable member sought to take a selfie video on the islands does not change any of those facts.
Speaking for the Lib Dems, Al Pinkerton was concerned by Nigel Farage's strategy.
Whilst I might admire the honourable member's audacity, I am deeply concerned that those actions trivialise what is indeed a deeply serious situation and potentially render the genuine grievances and injustices that Chagosians feel as a political backdrop to his social media feed.
Jim Allister, who represents the traditional Unionist Voice Party, questioned the legal basis for the treaty.
It was only a few months ago that this House was told that if we didn't approve this treaty, there would within weeks be binding international judgments against us. What international tribunal was ever capable of ruling on a military base?
The Conservative Shadow Minister Wendy Morton condemned the Chagos deal as shameful, unnecessary and reckless.
This is not a legal necessity, it's a political choice made by a floundering Prime Minister, and it is British taxpayers who are left to pay the price. No other government would pay £35 billion to hand over its own sovereign territory and make its country less secure in the process.
But earlier, the minister said he'd take the Conservatives' concerns more seriously if he hadn't been a diplomat himself.
In the Foreign Office, during the period, they were negotiating this deal for 11 rounds.
Hamish Faulkner said the government was still committed to bringing the legislation approving the deal through Parliament.
Tony Grew reported.